Saludo, mi gente. Welcome to Dismantling the Fuckery, the podcast where we deconstruct the illusion and unleash the fabulosity. I'm your host, ckery-Angelique, your fierce neurodivergent Juyorican poet and an advocate for decolonial liberation. So get ready to dive into the messy, uncomfortable, and transformative work of dismantling the systems of oppression and the limiting beliefs that hold us back. We're here to reclaim our power, embrace our magic, and rise into fabulosity. So grab your café, your té, I don't know, maybe you need a shot, and let's get into some fuckery. Saludo, mi gente. Welcome to Dismantling the Fuckery podcast. This is your hostess, ckery-Angelique, also known as Ya. And this, my friends, is the new series, episode 2, Priestessing the Portions. It's a weekly Torah offering for sacred workers, priestesses, healers, and liberation dreamers. In this series, the weekly parashah portion is not just taught, it is priestessed through the lens of ancestral fire, embodied power, and erotic wisdom. We enter the text as a living scroll. This is Torah for those who carry the center when the world trembles. Come and receive the portion meant for you. If your question after that is this only for Jews? The answer to that question is absolutely not. Now, if you come from another faith tradition, spiritual tradition or not, I am positively sure there'll be a nugget in here for you, as there is for all of us, right? These are all learnings and teachings that we get to grow from and ask, how is it relevant to us today? And what does it mean for us today? And if that's not what you're doing with your spiritual practice or your faith or your religion, then my friends, I don't know what we are doing. So I also want to name that today has been a day for me. I woke up with my lower back in a lot of excruciating pain. It's still active. I try to do some stretching and stuff, but I just have a really sensitive back that needs a lot of love. And I also want to name that, well, Shabbat Shalom, first of all. And all the things that are going on, and I don't want to center them, but I also want to acknowledge the impact that they have on us and on all the pieces of our lives. And I don't have words. I went on a very ranty posting on Instagram on my stories where I'm like, you know what? I try to stay away from the shit, but I have some thoughts. And I'm really trying to center care and joy and where it can be found and grounding, because there's so many things being activated. And I hope and pray that we are all building relationship with the tension of both being in the present moment, being with the joy of the moment, your loved ones, all of the things draw near, while simultaneously recognizing that we need to do what we can to prepare and to walk in wisdom, and that freezing, disassociating, and or being paranoid is not going to support the application and the embodiment of wisdom in these times. So please make sure that you're building your capacity to hold both so that you can make decisions for yourself, your loved ones, etc. that make sense and support care, resource, all of those things. It's so important. I find that sometimes it's hard for people to hold the tension of like, oh, I need to focus on the joy and whatever. And I'm not gonna be tapped into the sensationalism. And also there are things that are sensational and there are things that are actually fucking happening that, can have consequences that impacts us all, especially in this nation with the fuckery going on. Oh my, but I'm not going to get lost in there. I already did my ranting and it is Shabbat, and I want to the Torah portion that I'm going to talk about is in relationship to what we're looking at, and it's just an invitation on some reflections. And so this week's Torah portion is Beha'alotecha, and Beha'alotecha means like when you raise, and it is found in Numbers chapter 8 starting at verse 2. There's a lot going on there's a lot going on in every Torah portion. These first books are just, they're loaded, and then the other books are loaded. It's all loaded. There's no way around it. But when I read this, it struck me. And it struck me deeply because I recognize how much I need this word. I need to be reminded of the power of light and the power of being the light, the lamplighter, the light bearer, like the power of caring for the sacred flame that is inside of each and every one of us. And when we come together, we light up the world, and that will always ring true. That will always ring true. And so it is my hope, may the meditations of my heart and the words that come through my mouth be pleasing to the Holy One of Blessing, to the Most High, to the first love of my life and lover of my soul. I hope that the words that come out of my mouth are a blessing to you that are listening. And I hope that you find a balm inside of it. I hope that you find refreshment. I pray that my words would be guided, and I pray that you would be able to receive what you need from this portion. Take what serves, leave what doesn't, and just take a moment right now to breathe and to be grounding. And so we call the Torah, Torah is like the aim, right? Like a bullseye. It's the aim, the point, like the why, right? Like the Torah is a living thing. It's a living scroll. I know sometimes it gets mired in so much fuckery between laws or perceptions. I just want to take it back down to life. That its words would be life-giving, and that the words that are not life-giving would be released. Right, so that we can receive. So let's say the blessing before the Torah reading. And the blessing that I'm reading is from the Siddur HaKohanot. It is a Hebrew priestess prayer book by Rav Jill Hammer and Tay Ashir. And if I don't mention otherwise, I'm either getting the blessings from there or I'm writing them myself, and I'll let you know either way. But you know that this is the English version or translation of the Hebrew and the transliteration. So taking a deep breath and imagining that we're about to sit at the roots of a tree whose fruit is always ripe, whose shade is always sweet, whose roots are so deep, not even storms can undo the life that tree has. And so I invite you to come sit, and in breath, here is the Torah blessing. Blessed is wisdom, the fountain of blessing. Blessed is wisdom, the fountain of blessing forever. Blessed is wisdom, the fountain of blessing forever. Blessed is the indwelling spirit of the world, who has ripened us along with the peoples of the earth and has given us the unique wisdom of the Torah. Blessed are you, Shekhinah, who is always giving the Torah. And so the first couple of verses here, right? It starts out, Adonai spoke to Moshe saying, speak to Aaron and say to him, when you mount the lamps, let the 7 lamps give light at the front of the lampstand. Aaron did so. He mounted the lamps at the front of the lampstand as Adonai had commanded Moshe. Now this is how the lampstand was made. It was hammered work of gold, hammered from the base to the pedal. According to the pattern that Adonai had shown Moshe, so was the lampstand made. I don't know about you, but I'm really interested in the light. And I'm interested in what it means to be a lamplighter, what it means to be a torch carrier. What does it mean to hold these things in the middle of a world that is experiencing so much? And so many realities are true at once. And here's the thing that really got me, this description of how this lampstand was made. Now, I don't know about you, but I find, especially jewelry, when jewelry, metal jewelry is hammered, I think it's so fucking sexy. I'm like, this is just beautiful, right? Because it's raw material. It's been through a process to become what it is, right? It's been through an experience. And we find the same thing when we talk about clay. It's been molded. It's been shaped. So has this lampstand, according, and I love that, to the pattern that Adonai showed Moses. Now here's what to me is the question. What is the pattern that spirit, ancestors, whatever your cosmology is? For me, it's my ancestors. For me, it is Hashem, Adonai, Shekhinah. It is Great Spirit, right? What is the pattern that you have been given to shape, to become, to create space in the world for? How are you keeping this lampstand lit? Now, this is a reflection on the idea that you understand that back then, you're dealing with filling these petals, or whatever they're called. And I'm going to go with this assumption. I feel like somewhere in my memory, it stored the information because I've studied the tent of meeting. But we're just going to go with these bowls where oil would be put in and a wick would be put in, whatever that looked like. And that's what would be lit, right? Because this is where we get also the story of the Hanukkah, where it's like, oh, the oil lasted, right? The story of. So stay with me. Here, what I'm looking at when I'm reading this is that there is a specific design for the light that you bring into the world. And my question is, and I love the specificity. Let's go back, right? Just for a minute. Verse 2. Speak to Aaron and say to him, when you mount the lamps, let the 7 lamps give light at the front of the lampstand. There. 1. 2. Aaron did so. He mounted the lamps at the front of the lampstand as Adonai had commanded Moses. What have your orders been? What has your journey been, and what is the condition of your lampstand? This lampstand that has been shaped, hammered. When I think about my life, I'm like, yes, because that's what that shit has felt like, hammered, right? Shaped in a way that's creating this form. But it's not just to look pretty. It has a substance, and the substance of it is to light up the space. When I look at the conditions of the things happening today, and we can take apart all the histories, all the things, we can get really morally righteous, we can do all of the things about it. Whatever the conditions, the external conditions, my priority is with understanding, how are you lighting your lamp, and does it have the oil? How are you taking the responsibility of being a lamplighter? How are you caring for your lamp? What support do you need in order to shine bright enough that your light lights up the entire space? And if you think this is just about being like happy or being fill in the blank, whatever, imagining that creates this very static, rigid idea of what it means to be light, your light exists inside of your humanity. That means the things you get right, the things you get wrong, your ability to be human and be with that is where your light shines the most. While we can be over here preoccupied about doing it right, doing it correctly, doing whatever the thing is, correctly, whatever. whatever the flow. It seems that our preoccupation is in the wrong direction, or not the most aligned direction. The aligned direction is to understand that you being fully you, bringing all that you are. I'm not talking about the excuses with all the fuckery. I'm not talking about that shit. I'm not talking about you just being out here, just being wild about however you are and not being conscious or considerate or connected, whatever the things are, right? And the only reason I say that is because sometimes I feel like people hear the being your full self as being the person who either is constantly disassociated or constantly in paranoia or constantly in whatever experience. And that's not what I'm talking about. Those things need to be tended to. What I'm talking about is that when you show up in the full humility and vulnerability of your humanity, there's power and light in that. What it does is it offers all of us who have experienced an enormous amount and bombarded with conditioning that sees us as inherently wrong, inherently unwanted, inherently lacking, inherently insufficient, whatever synonym you want to bring or cinnamon that you want to bring into this, knock yourself out. This conditioning that has been so damaging because it is a conditioning that is about the imbalance of power. That making someone feel small makes someone else feel big. And that the only way to control people and to really snuff out the light is to put the thing in a controlled environment. And it makes me think of, I love candles. And you like candles for Shabbat if you observe Shabbat. Or if you like really good smelly things in your house or scents in your house, then you like candles, scented candles, if you will. And when some of them come, the worst thing for me is like going down a home goods aisle. Yes, I know them shits are toxic. Most of them, at least. Some of them are soy and some of them are like beeswax, healthier versions. Yeah. But your scents may be derived from unhealthy places. But okay, let's leave that there. Right? The thing that the thing we're looking at is that when you light the candle and then you take the cover off, you light the candle. If you took and put the cover back on, it snuffs out the light. And I see conditioning as the cover. I see the battle that we have as the thing that we've been taught to internalize about our light, about who we are as people, about the vulnerability of this humanity, about grief, loss, tears, joy, lovemaking, pleasure, the erotic, all of the things that it means to be this fullness. And that often enough, what we're battling is breaking free from these constructs that have minimized and or tried to snuff out our lights. And for some folks who are operating on a daily basis through a very robotic way of being, through a very tell me what to do and tell me who to be, and I'll be that. Well, when we're trying to get free from these things, and I was having this conversation, I met somebody recently, shout out to an hermanita that I recently got to spend some more time talking with, and it was so good, right? So good to share, to talk about. We were talking about a whole bunch of things, but one of the things that I was saying is that the reason why it's so important to talk about some of the shit we've been through is because it uncovers, releases the shame of the experience or of the thought or of the byproduct of having been impacted by something. When I talk about my story and I share it transparently, and I said this also to my therapist, when I share it transparently and I keep it 100, I don't do that because it's so exciting. I do that because I understand that in sitting with my own vulnerability and my own challenge, it may be a place of liberation for someone else to breathe and say, oh, I'm human. I've had this experience. Oh, it had that impact on me, right? And when we're doing that, when we're in the space that we are being human with each other, there's a lot of power in that. But now if I took another tone or another texture, right, where I'm constantly just unloading the emotional experience in a way that, and I think of this energetic texture gets really sticky, right? Then I'm not being as responsible as I possibly can be with my own story and with how I share the story. And that's what I mean by being mindful around what we're talking about. Being your full self is being in the vulnerability of it, being in your humanity. And this is not trying to regulate what it means to be in your humanity. It's not that. But that sometimes people are not actually being boundaried with the way they are making sense or processing it. And that often enough, that can be displayed in unhealthy ways. So there's that. All right, I'm going to move on because I feel like I could fucking dig into that shit forever. When we're talking about being this light, when we're talking about coming with all these dents, this hammeredness from having an experience, and recognizing that your light, that the fullness of your humanity is the gift that you give to the world. When it comes to the construct, you'll often find me saying, I will not be the offering or the sacrifice. When it comes to my devotion as a human, to my connection to myself, to spirit, to family, to friends, to my community, in that, my life is the offering. And what I mean by that, I live my life in the devotion, that understanding that I have an impact on others. And that's what I want to gift you today. Understanding that your light, and the reason why it is so important for you to care for yourself, and so important for us to understand the importance of being a lamplighter, and the responsibility inside of that is something that we all get to sit with and know that if the lampstand has been the assignment, then the oil and the wick accompany the assignment. And if the oil and the wick accompany the assignment, then we understand that the tender of that lamp, Aaron in this case, right? The high priest, a role that is separated, that is nuanced, that is distinct. What is your role in your community? What is your role in your life? What is your role in your family? What is the distinct, nuanced responsibility you have been called to bring forward into this world and to tend to? Because, my friend, you are a lamplighter. You are a lamplighter. And I want to know, are you resourced with the oil necessary? What is the oil for you? For me, the oil is my relationship with spirit. I was going to say with the spirit. My relationship with spirit, my relationship with nature, my relationship with family, my relationship with prayer, my relationship to the Torah or sacred words that I come across, my relationship to my pen. This is my oil. This is the oil. This is what I bring. My lampstand, hammered, unique in its calling, is what I bring. And it requires not just individual care from me and that awareness, but it requires, in the similar way that there's a Moshe that's telling Aaron, right? Forgive the extra emphasis on the R. It is Spanish coming through. But here you there is an understanding to be had. There's an understanding to be had in your support system as to what your job is. And Holy Goddess, let me tell you something. I am always eager, and I've had to put some reins on it, but always eager to support people in the work, in who they are and what they bring into the world in any way that I can. In any way that I can. Because I know that it is because of that very mechanism, when you are well supported, when your community has your back, when you are supporting yourself as well, when you are caring for yourself and the assignment that you have been given through the embodiment that you live, we are all blessed by it. So if you've been raw dogging some stuff out there, if you've been trying to do this calling, this thing, this whatever you are lighting up, whatever sphere of influence you are lighting up, which to me is leadership. Anyone can be a leader. What I mean by that is everybody has a sphere of influence. Now, the bigger the sphere, the more the responsibility with that. And that is the nuance and the difference. And not everybody has the same level of responsibility, which is the ability to respond, or the accountability, the ability to give an account for the sphere of influence in which you walk in. What is your calling, and how are you supporting yourself in that? The thing that I'm most fascinated about as a priestess and as a healer is that before we had we've always had titles. But before we got really fancy with it, or trying to make, it's a modern rendition of it. I'm not complaining. It's a modern rendition. But recognizing that the modern rendition has pulled us so far away from understanding the importance. And I was thinking about this the other day. I was watching TikTok, and I came across someone sharing something. They were just making a recipe or something like that. And I thought to myself, how generous. In a world that is fucking on fire, in a world where extraordinary harm is being done, we have so much generosity out in this world as well. People sharing their experiences, sharing their recipes, sharing their stories, sharing their hacks, just giving the shit away because they want to make sure that whatever their struggle has been, others don't go through it. I'm not saying everybody, but you get the point that I'm saying. And I thought, how did we get so far? And as a child of a diaspora, a Borinquen diaspora, understanding that indigenous movement in my lineage and in my community is always about sharing with each other. I got you, you got me. The shirt off your back, I scratch my back, I scratch your back, and not that the manipulative shit, right? How did we get so far? I know how, it's a rhetorical question, that healers, priests, whoever is doing work that is for a collective has to actually not just do the work of lighting the lamp, caring for the lamp, making sure the oil is there, making sure the wick is there, but somehow they have to also build the space. Somehow they also have to, there's something amok, and that's an understatement, in how we have approached what it means to heal and care for humanity and for each other. So first, I need you to come back home to your own lampstand, to you. Check your oil, check your wicks. Do you need some support with that? Because you light up the fucking world with your beauty and your humanity. Because the Holy One of Blessing, and whatever your cosmology is, apply it as such. For me, I have my life and my being in the spirit of all that is living. For me. Now, I have tended to be, if you will, a leader on the fringe, a leader on the edge, not out of intention, right? But recognizing that leadership is an inhabited state, an embodied fire. You don't have to walk around, smacking everybody with it. You don't have to wait for anyone's approval to understand that you have an ability, an accountability, and the responsibility to hold your fire and to know where you stand in the grand scheme of things, and to understand that our job is to make sure that we are supported, that we are supporting each other, and that no matter what the conditions of the world, I want to know the conditions of your lampstand. And I want to know that your oil is available and helping the fire burn bright, because we need your light. And that is what I wanted to offer up for this Torah portion. I wanted to remind you that you are the lamplighter and you are the lampstand. I want to remind you that the pattern by which you have come about is a unique formation. And yes, through much hammering, through much challenge and beauty, it is time to let that light shine bright. It is time to ensure that your oil has been replenished, that your care has been solid. Because you are needed on lines that you have not imagined, in places you have not stepped into. You are needed in such a way that you have not yet fathomed, that you, who feel so insignificant, can have such a powerful impact. So here's to all the lamplighters. Here's to all the lampstands who may be feeling afraid, who may be overwhelmed and overloaded, whose oil is low. May you be replenished. May you light up the space you inhabit and the world that you are surrounded by. And amidst this lighting up, and amidst this being full of light, do not forget to pour oil into other lampstands, however that may look. I hope that what I've shared, I hope that this has been a word of encouragement. I know that for me, the source of my being is the thing that I hunger most for. To be present with the spirit of the all that is. Whether I'm hugging a tree, making a salve, whether I'm chatting with a friend, whether I'm joking around with my kids. I find the divine spark in all things. And may that be our reality every day and all day, even when the tears are overwhelming. Even then. Whew. So I want to read the blessing after the Torah. Blessed is the indwelling spirit of the world, who has given us a teaching of truth and planted the life of the universe within us. Blessed are you, Shekhinah, who gives Torah. I hope that this portion has been nourishing. I hope that you can take it deeper. I hope that you can remember when all seems so fucking dark, that your joy, your love, your humanity can light up the world. Your existence is actually the difference. May it be so. And so I'm going to attempt something I have never, ever done. This is so outside of my comfort zone. I am just going to allow it to happen. And there is a blessing that we sing when in the synagogue and we're taking a Torah scroll back to the I don't even know what it's called right now off the top of my head. I'm sure it's in there. But anyways, the cabinet that holds it, my gosh, that's so awful. You would think I've never been in a synagogue. Anyways, no judgment. I'm releasing that. But it's Etz Chaim. And I promise you that every time this blessing is sung, I'm in tears. I barely make it through because it is just so meaningful to me and so powerful to me and reminds me, especially as someone who is so connected to the earth. For me, it is so powerful. So it is called, It is a Tree of Life. Wow, I'm a little nervous, y'all. Okay, but here it goes. Etz Chaim hi lemachzikim ba v'tom keha meusha Deracheha Darchei Noam Vechol Netivotecha Shalom Hashivenu Adonai Elecha Venashuva Chadesh Chadesh Yameinu Chadesh Yameinu It is a tree of life for those who hold fast to it, and those who uphold it are happy. Its ways are ways of pleasantness, and all its paths are peace. Return us to you, O God, so that we shall return and renew our days in new ways. And that's my spin. May this Shabbat, may this week, may the times ahead, may you find light, may you remember beauty, and may we care for one another in ways that are exquisite and powerful. My blessings to you. May you be kept along the journey. May the ever-watching eye of the Holy One, the ancestors, and all the things that are beautiful and sacred be over you, under you, in you, around you. And I send you off with so much love. Hasta luego, mi gente. Su servidora, ckery-New Angelique, also known as Ya. Adios. Bueno, mi gente, thank you for joining me on this wild and liberating journey of dismantling the fuckery. Remember, we are the architects of our own liberation. And if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share it with your people. Do all the things. You know what it takes for us to keep these frequencies rolling. Together, we will transform the world from a place of fuckery into a realm of unapologetic fabulosity. Stay fierce, my loves. Stay fabulous and keep dismantling. And if you want me or need me, yes, you heard me say that right, you know where to find me at priestessingliberation.com. Nos vemos ahorita. Adiós.